We are back in the black hole of real estate, and we've got some good news out there that I'd like to talk to you about in the insurance world. This is your host, Ron Wysakarski, for the black hole of real estate, and it's been announced this week. And this is, from the Florida Realtors Association, so a reputable source. And what they're saying is there are two more new property insurers approved for the state of Florida, and that brings the total now to 14 new companies since the reforms from the laws that were enacted in 2022 and 2023. And what those, if you remember, what those laws enacted did was they decreased financial incentives for policyholders and repair contractors and roofing companies and attorneys and things like that that were likely to file frivolous lawsuits. And what that did was it mitigated some of these court fees for the insurance company and delays in processing for each side because you had the frivolous lawsuits in there getting in the way of the actual legitimate ones, if that's how you want to term it. So what we're finding is over the last couple of years, companies are coming back into Florida. And it's not the old companies. See, these are new ones, replacement companies, and there's a difference. So a new company, whether it's a brand new company to the area or maybe the existing insurance company starts out with a different brand, if you will, they can all start out with a clean slate. So they don't have all the previous claims and lawsuits prior to the reforms. And if you think about that, if you started a brand new company today and you're only working on the rulings going forward from 22 and 23, then that could be a benefit to the insurance company as far as processing claims and potential labor hours tied up in things from years and years ago, which ultimately could provide insurance to more people, possibly at a better rate, but it definitely would help the profitability of those companies. So there's a lot of things that work for this. And I say, okay, so here's the insurance company making a lot of money again. Yay. But now that there are 14 of these companies, I have to believe at some point they will compete and someone will offer some incentive or pricing that would be valuable to a homeowner or an investor, because now you've got 14 competitors, not just Citizens Insurance. And many of these companies are probably going to begin to build their book of business. That's what the article talks about, to offload some of the Citizens property insurance claims and properties that need to be insured. There's no real acquisition costs involved there, is what they're saying. So it's a good place to go to. It also lowers the burden for citizens in the state of Florida if they go to these insurance companies. So that could help deleverage the state. It could help build up these companies. And somewhere down the road, it's going to create some competition, which eventually has the potential to help the homeowner. And I think that's what we want. So we're not sure exactly how quickly the transition will, continue along. I don't know if it's ever going to completely take all the risk off of Citizens. Citizens is still going to have property insurance for Florida as that safety net for all the Florida homes and the homeowners. But it is positive. And this also applies in the areas of condos. And it's also for the reinsurance plans for smaller multi-tenant office buildings and a number of other niche products, if you will. Not just your single-family, three-bedroom home, but a number of different types of properties are now going to be able to more easily get insurance and possibly be able to get quotes from more than one source, which, again, could help with pricing, could help with competition. Now, they do mention, and this is, I guess, I would say this. In order for there to be insurance, those companies have to have a profit. And if they don't, something's going to change. And if you go back in 2022, they do mention in this Florida Realtors article that in 2022, the insurance companies lost over $700 million, net loss for the year. And they're showing some profits in 23 of about 292 million, they quote here. And of course, 2024 was a banner year for these companies that were headquartered in the state of Florida, that over 900 million in net income. So they've turned it around by almost 1.6 billion dollars. So insurance is on the way back, and because the companies are more healthy and able to provide coverage, one would like to believe that when it comes time to place a claim, that there should be money there from these companies. They should be solvent enough to pay off claims if there was a catastrophic event, if there was another hurricane, something along those lines where the person who actually has the insurance policy to protect their home can actually cash in on it should the need arise, and it should be legitimate. And I think that's what, when you pay for the insurance, is what you want. Now, they give some other stats and information about this, and I could just tell you to go to Florida Realtors and search for the insurance article, and I think you could probably find that on your own. But what I do want to tackle next is the insurance has gotten in the way for a number of people looking to purchase properties, and it looks like that will begin to become less of a concern and less of an expense. And here's where it gets good. Let's suppose that the only insurance you can get was $5,000 or $10,000. What if there's competition where you can get it for $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000? Now, it's still a lot of money, but that change, and let's just suppose in that example, $500 a month for just the insurance piece, that may be enough for an investor to turn a profit on making a purchase. Or it might be enough for them to stay in there and hang in there a little bit longer, because the insurance on their property may actually be decreasing, which would help their profitability owning the property. They may not have to sell. They may be able to turn a profit, and in which case, if they're turning a profit, for investors, it does increase the likelihood that they will make other purchases. And what this market really needs is to find people getting off the fence. And there's so many reasons that people are pausing right now. And insurance was a big one of them. And maybe as that one slips away or becomes less of an obstacle, that could help move the logjam, get things going a little bit. We're going through the whole thing in big, beautiful bills in Congress and fighting that out. And it appears that that's going to move forward. Whether you like it or not, it's one less thing to think about, it's one less thing to talk about, and it's one less obstacle along the way. And as we lessen these barriers, at some point, maybe the Fed gets in line and drops interest rates. There's a lot of pressure on the Fed right now to do something, and I do think you'll see in a July meeting a 0.25% drop. It would be amazing to see a 0.5% drop, but I would caution everybody, let's be cautiously optimistic. But if they drop a 1/4 point or even a 1/2 point, I don't know you're going to see the whole amount reduced in mortgage rates, because I think some of that's priced in because there's a growing anticipation that we'll actually see reduced interest rates from the Fed in the month of July. And if you look a little deeper, what causes a home to be, I use the word expensive? Well, there's the acquisition price, and I don't know the prices are actually going down. But if the rates of interest go down, the monthly payment could go down, and if the cost of the insurance also goes down, it would stand to reason that the principal and interest portion, not too much, that would go down, because the principal balance due after down payment multiplied through the interest rate, calculate that will go down because the rates are lower, even if the price goes up a little bit. I don't know that taxes are going down, but if insurance goes down, that escrow payment also goes down. Or if you're going to do the escrow on your own, you can do that, but it's less money you've got to hold every month. So if there's 4 components in a mortgage payment and 2 look like they're going down, the insurance and the interest rate, well, that's really good. And I think this is going to open up the door to more investors taking a second look at some properties that maybe they passed on the first half of 2025. And as we get the market moving and turning over, other investors would say, if they do need to sell for whatever reason it is, they might just say, hey, the market's improving. I can put this property on the market and have a reasonable shot to get a decent price and sell it for a price that makes sense. That will provide more inventory for buyers to choose from. And I think that's what gets the wheel started over here. So look forward to some more information about the changes in the insurance. with regard to the pricing and the number of companies coming into the state of Florida. Overall, it's really, really good news because it provides more insurance options for homeowners and investors alike on their properties. This is your host, Ron Wojciechowski, for the Black Hole of Real Estate.